Hey everyone, welcome back to the local newsletter insider show. And I am here with Alex, and Alex runs a newsletter called Mount Juliet Buzz. Is that right, Alex?
Mount Juliet.
What did I say?
Mount Juliet.
Oh, okay, tell me how to say it right.
I'm just messing with you. It's
Yeah,
just Mount Juliet. Yeah.
Mount Juliet. Okay. Um, and so why don't you tell everyone about yourself? Give a quick background, Alex.
Mount Juliet Buzz is I am one of three. About a year ago, I had a grand idea to start this. I have a mortgage business, and figured local newsletter would be perfect for distribution. I pitched it to a really good buddy of mine who I've worked with for a couple years. He's a real estate agent. He also saw the vision. And then his wife, he and his wife have kind of like two younger girls, but they're kind of transitioning into like, becoming older and stuff. So Amber is her name. She kind of had more like free time, and she was like, oh, this is perfect to kind of be able to like get back out into the workforce again. And so she helped us really take it and run with it. So I'm one of three, and we're about a year in.
Okay, awesome. So when you say one of three, you mean like there's three of you as owners of it?
That's right.
Okay, awesome. So, and this is, give a little background on where this location is.
Mount Juliet. So we're like 10, 15 minutes east of Nashville.
Okay.
Population of around 45,000 people. So, where's your newsletter at?
So mine is, I have two, but the northern suburbs of Austin is my main ones.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Like 20 to 30 minutes from Austin.
Is yours about 45,000? How big is yours?
No, mine. Well, I combine three cities for each of mine. So one of them is Leander, Cedar Park, and Liberty Hill. That's probably 180,000 total.
Oh, wow.
And then the other one is Round Rock, Georgetown, and Hutto, which is about 230,000 total. So yeah, I'm trying to cover basically all of the northern suburbs essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just focused on one specific.
But like we've got a town called Lebanon, which is about 5-10 minutes down the interstate. Further east, we've got a smaller town north, smaller town south. So it's kind of all encompassing, but it's Mount Juliet. That's like the name of it.
Yeah, so you cover those areas.
How do we rebrand like the Mount Juliet and Lebanon scene? But I don't know. We're kind of too far in now. We're just kind of rolling with it.
Well, so here's what I do, and again, maybe this is interesting for other people to think about, is I'm always jealous, sounds like you, when people like Wichita or, well, that's a great example where it's just, yeah, he can cover the suburbs, but it's like Wichita's big enough, but small enough, right? Everybody just kind of knows. Where for people like us in the suburbs, it's like, oh, like in my case, Leander and Cedar Park, they're like similar size. People kind of consider they live in both, like you're 5 minutes for, so how do you brand? So what I did is I called mine the middle. So it goes Cedar Park, then north of that is Leander, north of that is Liberty Hill. So I just picked the one in the middle, and then just called it that. So it's called Leander Scoop, but then my subtitle says, which is not a great subtitle, but at least the concept, it says local pulse and insights for Cedar Park, Leander, and Liberty Hill. So that way the subtitle shows that, hey, even if you don't live in Leander, if you live in the other two, this is for you. So that's how I do it.
We could even say something like, for all cities east of Nashville, something kind of like that. Yeah, you kind of get my wheels turning now.
Yep.
I'm trying to decide if we'd have any pushback from Mount Juliet people who are like, wait, we kind of liked it being just us, just ours, like you're for this city. I don't know. I might be overthinking it.
Yeah. That's one of the, man, it's so funny you say that. Overthinking in this model is like everybody does it, right? Because there's so many different ways. Oh, well, someone might be upset about this. Oh no, but then somebody would be upset about the opposite thing. Like people are gonna be upset no matter what. You kind of have to figure out what's best.
We have people upset that we don't harp on like Lebanon and other cities so much.
That's right. Yep, you will have people saying that. So, yeah, and you could always do another way of thinking about it. We do this on our events. Is you could almost have different sections for different areas, right? So you could say, hey, the top half of the newsletter is all Mount. I don't want to say it wrong again. Mount Juliet.
No, you're fine.
Again,
I was just messing with you. You can call it however you want.
Yeah. So the first half is all Mount Juliet, and then underneath that is whatever the other cities are. right? And you could then
Yeah.
have like little subsections covering those areas. So there's different ways to do it. But I would say if you're at 45,000 for just the one suburb, I mean, my instinct is to say probably beneficial to cover more area, cover more
Yeah.
ground, because now you got more readership and more potential ad dollars and whatnot. So, yeah. But so tell me, so how many subscribers do you guys have?
If I switch my screen, will you see it or no?
I think so. If you hit share, should be able to.
Oh, so I'm at we're at 3,410.
Okay, 3,000. Okay, or
We
3,500.
wiped out a couple hundred a couple weeks ago because we just went through and saw someone who, if you haven't opened our email in the last X amount of months, we just deleted you out. I guess we read a tip somewhere that was good. I don't know, but
Yeah.
so
Dude, man, we're already getting into the weeds of like what's good and what's bad. Again, I'm not an expert here, but I've read a bit about this, and I know a lot of people are saying to do what you said. Although what the piece of advice though would be before you do that is create an automation sequence that tries to get them back in the newsletter. So, I mean, the obvious simple version is, hey, we haven't seen you read this newsletter in the last month. If you're not interested, if you don't open or if you don't click here, we'll just remove you because you're not interested, something like that. So then they can click to get back in your good graces. So you can do that then, or you could just do a multi-sequence step of trying to re-engage them. We've only done the first version. But I also heard somebody I think it was at the newsletter conference I went to, or a newsletter podcast where they were saying like, why would you delete people? Like that's valuable data. Like not to delete.
You're right. So does it not hurt your data though to show other businesses like, look, we've got a 70% open rate, but we've got so many trash emails on here. We only got a 50% open rate because no one reads it. So that was our thought process. Again, we are not the experts on this. But.
Well, so I'm not truly an expert either. Again, I'm digging in. I'm doing lots of research, talking to lots of people, but I'm still not an expert. But what I will say is because I just had this conversation with my wife, my partner, because our open rates have dropped a little bit as we're growing, right? Which I think is relatively standard. So we're used to, the 60% number, and now it's at 56 or something. And it's like, okay, well, what a lot of people would just instantly say is, do the automation sequence and remove those people so you can get back to 60 or 65 or, whatever. Yeah. But if you really think about like the pro and the con of this business is that you're selling ads to local businesses, right? And they are more broke in general, which is a negative. They are also less sophisticated, which is a negative, but maybe a positive here. So as my wife points out, when I brought up what you said, like, oh, we should remove people and get our open rates back up. She's like, these business owners don't know anything about open rates. What do they care if it's 55 or 60 or 65? Like, that's not likely to change their reason for advertising with you if they're not sophisticated. And the bigger number, which, yes, it's kind of what a lot of people call it the vanity metric of, it
holds more weight than a 65% compared to a 60% open rate. Like
that's right. It holds more weight. Bigger number holds more weight of this is how many people have subscribed to my newsletter with a higher number there with a lower open rate. I think, again, I'm just projecting here, but I think that's better for a local business that's not sophisticated. Plus the fact that you're keeping your data.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I wish we did this podcast a couple weeks ago because it's too late now.
Yeah. Well, it was only a couple hundred, so
yeah, it was only. You're right. It was only a couple hundred. We've got this thing where there's this group, this Facebook group for Mount Juliet that's, it's huge, and we became partners with them. Where every time someone joins the group, you know how you have to you can fill out a form before you're let into the group. Mm-hmm. They're asked, do you want to be a part of the Mount Juliet Buzz newsletter where you get all things, events, activities, news, et cetera, yes or no. And if anyone who hits yes, you got to fill out their email. And then all those emails are given to us. So once we started that's when we feel like our open rate went lower.
Okay.
So we are thinking like, okay, we might need to do something different with that Facebook group. Login flow or whatever. Yep. Someone might hit yes and not really know what it is, and then they might get an email and they're like, I don't really know if I remember what this email is. But I think you're right. After this conversation, I don't know if.
Yeah.
we
Well,
care too much about open. I mean, like obviously care about it, but like we were like hovering at like 72%,
oh wow,
which we were like really
really
like
good.
proud
Yeah.
of, and then it dropped to like 65, and we started to like worry.
Yeah,
But
no,
like you're
yeah.
right, like who cares?
Yeah, most people aren't even at
The
65.
the
So like,
roofer the roofer
yeah,
down the road, he's
yeah,
I mean they're not gonna care, you know?
yeah. They care about like how much. Yeah. So, but first of all, to go back to your Facebook thing, first of all, that's killer.
Yeah.
You went and figured out how to partner with them. That's awesome. The other thing that a lot of people talk about is just buying them, right? Which can work extremely well, or
Bought
sometimes
like
I've heard of
Facebook
them being
ads.
given. No, buy the group, buy the Facebook group, and you own it. You
Oh.
become the admin. So I know this is something that a lot of smart entrepreneurs try to do. Again, it's technically, I believe, against terms of service, whatever, but it's a thing. Everybody knows it's a thing. And a lot of the people that started these Facebook groups, they're just regular people. They're not monetizing them. They're just local people who wanted a place to
Yeah.
chat. So if you throw $500 at them or $1,000, they might jump at it. And now you have potentially a huge audience. But it
Yeah.
sounds like you almost did the kind of easier, quicker way, which is awesome too. It's just, hey, anytime they sign up for this, suggest they sign up for that. They do. So here's what you could do though, and that's a good point that your open rate dropped when you started doing that. You could create a sequence for people who sign up that way, so they get something completely different than somebody who signs up from a Facebook ad.
That's a good point.
So
And right
the
now it's a
first
little
email could
funky
mention that.
too. It's not automatic. So like literally what happens if someone goes to that Facebook group and they say, sure, yes, then the owner of that Facebook group will like batch send all of the emails that signed up in the last like day or couple days. And then we literally take those emails and like manually go throw them, like go to like the public facing Mount Juliet Buzz login or sign up, subscribe here page, and we just manually type those emails in. There's got to be a better. So like someone could say yes, but then like 3 days later, then they're getting the welcome email, and at that point they already forgot about it. So
That's exactly right. So I'm pretty sure what people are doing, because I'm not doing this, but I'm quite confident this works, is that it is a multi-step process, but it's probably worth it in your case, which is using a tool like Zapier.
yeah,
So you can connect Zapier to that page, that when an email is submitted, Zapier will then send it from Facebook into your Beehive page instantly or close to instantly. So then they get the welcome email, 10 minutes after they signed up for the group. So that's probably worth looking into, because that could be a big part of your problem.
I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just sucks because now you have another tool, and Zapier
I know it
costs
just
$30.
sucks because now it's like, well, crap. Like we've been trying to get I've had job board on my to do list for like 5 weeks, longer than that, and it's just like one of those things where it's just
it's on my list too.
So let me just go add this Zapier thing now. Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say my instinct, and it could be totally wrong, but I would say, because the two things that I'm thinking a lot about are job board and directory, like business directory.
Yeah.
And while I think those are good ideas, more longer term, I would say those probably aren't the highest value things you could be doing when you're still smaller. So like my instinct would be to say, don't do a job board just yet until you have everything else down and know what you're doing, and you're monetizing well.
Wow.
Let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you a couple. Let's talk monetization real quick, because I like what. So you do. You have a mortgage company or mortgage brokerage? Okay, and the other person. So you have mortgage and real estate, or selling homes already taken care of. So that's really cool to sell your own products. So tell me about that, and then also about, are you guys selling ads? Are you trying to, where are you at with that as well?
So he got his first real estate lead about a month or two ago, and we've been doing this since May of last year. Okay. And then I've got 3 or 4 leads from it. But the real estate cycle is such a long cycle. It's not like you're selling a $20 info product and somebody decides if they want to buy it in 10 minutes or not. It's all about, when you get a lead, you have to nurture that lead. So I've got 3 or 4. I haven't actually got a closing yet. And then I know he's got one, and it hasn't actually closed yet. So zero monetization from the business that we run and advertising that. We do monetize from ads. I'd say we make anywhere between $500 to $800 a month in ads. We have quickly realized, though, that ads are not the game we want to play. You look at like Ryan Snedden and with the Naptown Scoop, and that's the person who I saw on Twitter a year ago and was like, okay, I can do this. Let's do it. Makes a ton of money from several factors, but ads are like his biggest thing.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so. Yeah.
And then we've quickly realized, like, man, we don't really necessarily care to go try to get $150 from the local coffee shop. Like, let's start erring on the generous side and maybe just start like discounting prices or giving it away. Because we don't like that game of constantly looking for the next, it's a revolving door, right? Now we're thrilled and very thankful for the businesses who see enough value in this to give us money, and we've proven that if you advertise with us, you do get a return from it. Because we'll help the business out with like a lead magnet, right? So instead of just saying, here's my face and here's my business, we'll help them with a lead magnet that says like, click here and I'll send you 10 free stretches you can do at home if it's a local gym, right? Something like that. So we've proven if you advertise with us, you're going to get leads and emails for you to nurture with, but man, we just don't know if long-term that's the game we want to play.
So yeah, and I think you're hitting a key point here that a lot of people are thinking about now, or they will be, once they get into this. Again, you've been doing it for longer than a lot of people, at almost a year, longer than me. And I think you're generally correct that that's not the best play. It should be thought of almost as secondary way of making money, like just kind of casually doing it and taking money when you can, maybe putting a little bit of effort in, which I'll go into in a second, maybe some things you can do. But yeah, I think, trying to monetize with the mortgage and the real estate is key. And I want to get into that because I want to know what you're already doing or how you're thinking about it. But and to be clear, I have not put any effort into monetizing yet. So I'm just learning so much. I'm just focused more on learning, which I need to get out of that habit here soon. But one of the things that I've learned from a lot of the guys really successful doing this is to proactively target the biggest businesses in your area.
Yeah, and that's
right?
something we haven't done.
Yeah,
right?
And most people haven't.
We are like boots on the ground. We're with the local salon shop. We're with the local coffee shop. We're with the local roofer, the local insurance agent. I've got a magazine right here called the Mount Juliet Lifestyle, and we could easily go into that magazine and pick out the dentists, the orthopedic surgeons, like the universities that are advertising, like the big players, and we'd easily call them and be like, do you know how many eyeballs see this magazine? And they might be like, yeah, we know how many people are subscribed. And I'm like, no. Do you know how many people actually put their eyeball on your ad? The answer is no.
No, you don't.
Like, okay, well, if you do the newsletter, you know how many people clicked on your link. You know how many people filled out your form. You could walk away with 30 emails from one newsletter publish. So my point is, we haven't done that yet. Yes, we could start picking at the big boys. There's a digital billboard in our city, right? Big digital billboard that constantly is rotating different businesses. I could sit there one day for an hour and write down every business and then call, and it's expensive. We've looked into it and call them and be like, do you know how many people looked at your logo today? And the answer is no. And then I could be like, okay, well, we got this newsletter and I could show you how you could walk away with 50 emails from one newsletter edition. And would probably be half the price. We just haven't done it yet. Like,
because it's hard.
And I want to blame it on just either like being lazy, but also like, I don't know. I'm gonna be a little graceful with this. Like we're kind of just getting our feet under us and like being like the boots on the ground, loving on the community, and we'll really kind of focus on that, I guess, at some point. But right now, we're not really trying to like replace our jobs with this. We kind of have the three of us kind of have a joke like, this is our retirement. We just don't know how yet. Like We don't know what it will turn. This is huge. This is going to be huge. We just don't know what it will be yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, we're not really like money hungry at the moment. How do we go out and get the biggest bang for our dollar right now? Later down the road, sure. Like
Yeah. And I think what you are doing with what you just said is the absolute right way to think about it. Like, you're in the perfect spot to succeed at this, right? Because it is even if you were trying, it's still going to be difficult, right? To do it. The fact that you haven't tried makes it's not going to just fall in your lap, right? So you got to put effort in. You're not putting effort in. That's fine. Neither am I, right? But that's because you and I are seeing this in a way that I think a lot of people who start doing this business don't, which is, this is a long-term play. I am not looking at this as the way I'm going to make money right now, right?
yeah, exactly. Like you're almost like, okay, how do we become friends, like best friends with the community first?
Yep.
And then find a way.
That's right.
After that. And but what is that way? We have no
idea.
idea.
Mean, but you don't know, which is, not ideal, but it's not the worst thing ever. And the reason that's actually a good thing, or has a lot of good in it, is there's so many different ways to capitalize from this, right? Normally, that's not true in most businesses, right? Like, oh, you want to be an accountant, or what? Like, go sell your accounting service to people. Like, that's the only way it's going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
And that's not the case here, right? There's a lot of different ways that over the long run, this can pay off seriously if you do it right. And again, you live there, you love where you are, you're putting a lot of effort in. The fact that there's 3 of you, that's, again, good and bad, but good in the case of building the brand.
Good, if anything, right now.
Yeah. Well, right now for sure. But once the thing starts crushing, then it might cause more issues.
Luckily, we all really like each other. So.
Yeah. No, totally. No. That's a good thing. So tell me real quick, because you're doing what I think not a lot of people are doing right now. I don't know if you know this, but I don't think there's a lot of people selling, like, who own these, who have their own high ticket, high LTV business, right? Which is what I think is about to happen. The industry, a lot of the inbound that I'm getting are people starting to realize the value of this. And so it so makes sense in theory, right? Of like, instead of running ads, the ad is going to be my business, or I'm going to talk about my business in the newsletter. And that all makes perfect sense logically. But then when you think about how are you actually doing it, because I'm not doing that right now. I don't have a high LTV business right now. So I'm curious how you're putting your mortgage business or your realtor business in the newsletter to position it to get leads.
Yeah, it's something we could probably do a lot better at. It hadn't changed from day one. So me and him owned the very bottom section before the thank you from Amber, John, and Alex, the Mount Juliet Buzz, have a great week. Like, we own the very last section. So we're at the very, very bottom, and it's just called the Mount Juliet Real Estate Update. So he'll give a little, blurb on what's going on with the housing market in Mount Juliet, and I simply have like 2 paragraphs or 2 sentences that say, click here, and it sends him to a landing page to be on my rate refinance watch list. So the point is, if you own a home and you're like, well, when should I refinance? You'll see that and you want to click on it. And now I've got your info, right? We could probably be doing a lot better job, but that's what it's been since day one, and we haven't changed it.
Interesting. So, I mean, again, it's good to at least have that, but real estate is the hardest one for me because, well, mortgage actually is the harder one. By the way, my newest newsletter that I'm partnering with somebody on, he's a mortgage broker too. Now, we haven't fully started launching yet, but I'm trying to think about this too, of how to position him throughout the newsletter in different ways to where you're not hitting people over the head with it, right?
You don't want to. Is he paying you?
A little. Like, we're more partners.
Or did y'all team up and y'all are?
No, we teamed up, kind of like you. Yeah. So we're partners on this. It's just in his neighborhood. It's not in Texas.
How big's the neighborhood?
Well, it's a suburb of 300,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. So it's kind of perfect. I think the 200 to 500 is like suburbs is where it's at. But that's why I was excited to work with him. But the point is to say, okay, he's a mortgage broker like you. You can't beat people over the head with this, because otherwise you're just going to annoy them and they're not going to want to read the newsletter, right? But also, you don't want to be so passive that it's like, oh, just at the very bottom it says, hey, I'm a mortgage broker too. Click here. I feel like there's probably ways, although I don't know what they are, to kind of like casually throw that into the newsletter. And I'm just curious if you've thought about this at all.
Yeah, so we've thought about this. We've thought about doing something like this. So we're doing this on Riverside, right? We've thought about doing, and we've actually done this in the past. This was just like 2 years ago before we had a newsletter. Me and John, one of the realtor, one of the partners for the newsletter, where we just do like a 2-3 minute update on the housing market, right? He'll give his spill on the real estate side. I give my spill on the mortgage side. We've thought about like creating like a video like that, putting it up on YouTube, but then putting the link in the newsletter. So it's a little more clickable, a little more friendly to like click on it. Maybe you have like a YouTube thumbnail looking kind of thing. But
so I love this, dude. I love this idea. So one of the things I'm doing,
more clickable. It's like it's the same info. It's just a little more clickable.
Yes.
But as far as like putting us at the very top or kind of lacing us throughout the newsletter, I don't know, man. I'm sure there's a way to do that. Yeah, I mean, other than just obviously just putting it like right after the things to do. Like our most popular section is the events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we just put that section right underneath the events, I mean, yeah, we could do that, but forget the reason why we were like, let's not, and let's instead have like a business spotlight where we spotlight another business and we have another business pay for that section. But yeah, I mean, really, I guess the only thing we could do is like do a thumbnail, YouTube kind of style at the very bottom. So instead of just words, it's like click here and you kind of get a more like a 2-3 minute video of us talking about it kind of thing. Because then now if they click on it, then they're like, they start to see a little more personality. They like it almost turns into like a talk show kind of thing where it's like every week they can kind of see me and John chatting. Yeah, there you go. Something like that.
So I think you should totally do this. So here's what I'm doing. And I actually think your idea is better. Although again, you have a unique angle that I don't have because you're a realtor and mortgage guy. So what I'm doing is a local business podcast. I'm just showing you this. And if anybody's listening to this, check it out on YouTube to see the image of what I'm doing. So we have a section called Podcast Spotlight. Then you can see the thumbnail from YouTube in the email. Yet they have to click on it to actually watch it.
Yeah.
But this would be a way to me in your with what you're talking about is, first of all, that's a full podcast, right? 30 minutes, 40 minutes, which, most people aren't going to watch the whole thing. Number two, that, in my case, I'm just interviewing random local business owners. You could have a section called like real estate update, right? Something like that. And in your case, make them short. Totally love that idea. 2, 3, call it under 5 minutes. And what that does is that is the value that you're trying to get across here, right? You tell me, you're in the business, I'm not. People will hire you or your partner because they know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's not because
the point isn't the value that we're given, because we could give the same value in 3 sentences. The value is they now see Alex and they can put a name to a face if I ever get them on the phone.
That's exactly right. You want people to know you, to know your personality, to kind of know that you're the guy who's doing this, that you're not faceless. I know your photo may be at the bottom, but that's still like,
so
who
we
is
have
this
photos
guy?
there, but still.
Yeah. Who is this guy? Right. So now, and then again, the very first time you put this up, you're probably not going to get clients from it. Right. But if you do this every week, or at least every month, I would say for sure every month, if not every week, 3 months from now, if you did it every week, they've seen, your face has been in there 12 times, right? 6 months from now, it's been in there 20 whatever times. Like, that is helping people really get to know who you are and that this guy's serious. This guy's making moves. He's doing stuff. He's talking about real estate. Plus, you'd obviously put that on social media, right? So now people may find that who don't even get the newsletter.
Yeah.
Dude, to me, that's a no-brainer. And I think my biggest takeaway,
that was the whole point of the newsletter, was like,
yeah,
let's start a newsletter and we can start a business and then we automatically have distribution. But like the whole time we haven't been like,
yeah.
We already have a
it's
business.
Yeah. But I think the real value in this is it being short. I think there are people who do what we just said, and it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. You should just make it quick, make it fun, and that's it. Do not go on and on because people aren't going to watch it. if you
Yeah.
get them accustomed to how quick and short it is and try to make it as fun as you can, I think that's a great idea, man. I think you should do that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I'll bring up in our next meeting.